Hopefully you're ready for when monsters storm the beaches and pile through the forests. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the events that I am looking forward to in Log Horizon because we've had a little bit of exploring, adventuring, monster slaying, but not to this degree, so hopefully they drop a lot of loot. But make sure to draw your sword, raise your voice. Let's charge in. A lovely visage to meet straight away. It's nice how they all static, waiting in the background. I'm not sure what that anagram means. It's good that they have gotten away, for the time being at least. There was a manga I was reading where there's basically an all-out war between one faction and another, and the adventurers were basically not forced, but asked if they wanted to help, and they were given rewards based on based on what they did. The better they performed, the more rewards they obtained. And obviously because that was a game, it's a lot more understandable how that kind of system would work out. But with this being a somewhat pseudo-reality, since I'm not entirely sure how it all ties together, especially when you've got floating HUDs in front of you. Loot! And one good thing about this system where they just dissipate into bubbles and pixels is that you don't have to really clean your weaponry. It would be dumb of them to just rush in against an overwhelming numbers. Well, that was your fault, wasn't it? But having a team meeting in the middle of this forest while there is this approaching mass. And it is nice to see them using the griffins again. Were they structured? So obviously, because there's been alluding to a goblin boss. They are being led, which is definitely scarier than just a mass of monsters just running about doing whatever they want, causing havoc. all, or just the ones that were training? So if they warp out, they're leaving this area. Well, not to chance, it will be completely raided. Using a proxy because he doesn't have them on, like, speed dial. Fair enough. Hopefully there's not a case of them passing on the message slightly incorrectly. Quite a fair bit of experience to be gained, should anyone need it. Ah, it was a reoccurring event, fair enough. That answered one of my questions. Gross. Looks a bit more like what you'd expect a kobold to look like than a goblin, but... And if they don't? Here's the thing now that you knew this from when it was a game, and now you know the Goblin King is returning and raiding and attacking. That definitely means you're going to have to put in place some countermeasures for other public events that may or may not come to pass in the future. So if you were struggling before, you're now screwed. What a great event. Would it still follow the scripted events when it was from a game, or because it's this world, would the goblins act a bit more quote unquote naturally and react in different ways? Okay. Just dropping more names in. I think these were actually mentioned when we were with the Magus guy, with one of the world spells, was it not? I can't remember. Yep. They remain. But we were told that the resurrection spells work, but only very temporarily. If you react too slowly, then whoops. He's left quite the quite the impression on her. Is this a you have to flee just in case speech? Yeah, you don't want the entirety of the royal family in one place in this kind of event. Oh dear. Well, it was fun seeing him once. Just downplay the seriousness slightly to assuage their worries. But was it because she's apologizing because she couldn't really do anything? Yeah, like, we've been told it doesn't matter if you die because you just respawn at the cathedral, but then there's the whole you lose part of yourself and your memories. And as I was told, sure, we don't know the extent of that or how bad it is, but I was worried that there's potentially some people who are using the whole there is no permanent death as a crux, so they're not wouldn't take things as seriously as possible. Ah. Gobs fish. Keep it shorthand. So they are. Is that a adventurer city or a people of the land city? This is actually, isn't it? At least they're not shying away from the occasion. But what can this small group really do? What is the average level for the raiding force? Well, yep. Do your best, Druid. It's not really their place to make any firm decisions, but I'd like to know what the tank and Yanta and whatnot feel about it. But considering this isn't a game anymore, its snap decisions leave a more tenable issue if it goes wrong. So he has to think about things tenfold. Yep. Why are they standing next to the fireplace? I mean, originally I thought that was a door, so like they were standing guard at the door, but it's not, it's a fireplace. Unknown. Unknown. We only know the basics of it, but here's a grave issue should it be misused or overused. Okay. Is it just like bits and pieces here and there, or is it just swathes of your past? Well, yeah, you've forgotten. How could you tell? Yeah, what don't you remember? I don't know. I don't remember. Imagine it being like a ReZero Who's Rem moment where just people entirely you forget about. In my case, I can die hundreds of times and still have the same amount of memory. But for people who don't care about their original life, then I don't think for them, it's not really a problem. Do they really want to take rash decisions that might affect the plans that were in place? You can't. True, it will feel incredibly bad leaving them to their own issues there, but I think party comes secondary to the world at large at the minute. Get them in to let them know, to give some. There are goblins coming. I don't like that grin. Looks like they've struck already. It's goblin slaying time. Since we don't actually see any corpses or anything, do the people of the land dissipate like this as well? Here's the thing, if it was if it was a game, I would just jump in. You know, there's no reason not to. But if you're somewhat putting your life on the line, not sure how I'd react. They're just observation. True, but they're still in training. How much of a strategic genius is she? Sure, you might be a bit outnumbered. But as long as you take out several of them with you, then someone balancing the tides. And if you can announce the incoming raiding party with the town, get them to raise the guards, you can get somewhat of a pincer attack. Especially if they're on the bridge, then they have nowhere to escape to. But in a world where there are literal monsters roaming about, I don't think I'd feel safe living in a city or a village without at least a wall. And maybe a few watchtowers. But it also means that since public events are real, then raids are real, which means there's probably more attempts to get griffin mounts and maybe some new items in the future. And it's a fairly overused kind of trope in story writing. When you want to get the reader or the viewer, in this case, because we are watching something, invested or emotionally behind the upcoming series of events and battles, you get a child involved. Because most people don't react well when children are in danger. And while I hope it goes well for them, I can sense imminent trouble ahead. With 10,000 plus goblins on the loose. True, this is a raiding party and possibly just a small detachment of them. Still quite a few. Also, when this was a game, I know it's not anymore, but was the combat tab targeting? Action combat? How does that translate into the closest I can really give it is like a VR first-person RPG? Well, I got what I wanted, even if it came with a few casualties. There were some tough times ahead. Looks like war is coming. If you are anticipating what is coming up in the future, let me know down below. If you enjoyed, maybe leave a like on the video. But I'm sure you don't want to miss out, so maybe subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. But before we march on the enemy, you may want to take a rest. There won't be much time for sleep soon. See you again in the next one. If you want to go above and beyond and protect the helpless, that in this case is my channel, then consider helping me out on Patreon. Because we all know the inexorable march of time and copyright on the internet may be closing in faster than I know. But still, Sal, Raywin, HSTR, Dynamite 1997, Haisharem, Shiwan, ASD, Stinsvaya and everyone else has so far protected what they hold dear. So, thank you.